Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and today we're exploring how your gut bacteria can reveal your future heart attack risk, sometimes more precisely than cholesterol or blood pressure checks. Alongside me is Alara Sky. Together, we'll unpack new research showing that a simple microbial score can flag coronary heart disease patients who are quietly heading toward another major cardiac event.
Thanks, Ethan. The headline is striking. Investigators in the large CardioPrev trial identified 10 specific gut bacterial strains whose combined presence, or absence, accurately predicted which coronary heart disease patients would later suffer heart attacks or other serious events. In other words, the microbes living in your intestines may warn of danger years before conventional tests catch a problem.
Let's drill into that study design. Researchers followed 679 adults who'd already survived at least one coronary incident. Every participant was receiving standard medical care, yet the team suspected that some were still on a silent trajectory toward another event. They sequenced each person's gut microbiome and built an intestinal microbiota-based risk score from those 10 key bacterial signatures.
Exactly. When they compared outcomes, patients with high-risk microbiome scores were far more likely to experience what clinicians call MACE, major adverse cardiovascular events, over the follow-up period. Even before symptoms surfaced, these individuals carried more abdominal fat, higher blood pressure, elevated fasting glucose, and worse long-term blood sugar control. The gut profile proved to be an independent predictor, not simply a reflection of existing metabolic issues.
That raises an important point. The microbiome may be driving disease progression, not just mirroring it. Participants with risky gut patterns also showed systemic inflammation and insulin resistance, two hallmarks of escalating cardiovascular stress. So, Alara, which bacterial shifts stood out most?
Two findings were particularly notable. First, heart attack survivors who later relapsed carried unusually high levels of Lactobacillus. While some Lactobacillus species support health, others trigger immune activation when they escape the gut. Second, Escherichia coprostanoligines was elevated. This strain generates trimethylamine, which your liver converts to trimethylamine N-oxide, or TMAO. High TMAO accelerates atherosclerosis, destabilizes plaque, and promotes clot formation, all key ingredients for a heart attack.
The study also flagged lipopolysaccharide, or LPS. That endotoxin leaks from the gut when the intestinal barrier weakens, a situation often called leaky gut. Elevated LPS stokes inflammation throughout the body and can harm vessel walls. Did the researchers show a direct link between LPS levels and future cardiac events?
They did. Patients with greater circulating LPS experienced more heart-related complications. The pattern was clear: microbial imbalance, barrier disruption, endotoxin spillover, systemic inflammation, and then cardiovascular damage. It underscores why routine cardiology visits should eventually include gut health assessments alongside lipid panels and blood pressure readings.
Broader work supports that view. A 2022 analysis of 457 studies mapped 2 decades of evidence connecting gut ecology to coronary disease. Most papers examined adults already diagnosed or at high risk, and they consistently showed that microbial metabolites, TMAO, short-chain fatty acids, bile acid derivatives, and LPS, shape vascular health.
Right. And the global trend is shifting toward solutions. Researchers, especially in China, are testing natural strategies: berberine, ginseng, mulberry leaf, seaweed polysaccharides to remodel the microbiome. Berberine, for instance, lowers cholesterol and systemic inflammation while curbing TMAO production. It also boosts Akkermansia, a gut bacterium linked to improved insulin sensitivity and lower inflammation.
Some teams even transfer microbiomes between hosts. One experiment moved gut bacteria from people with high TMAO into mice. The animals rapidly developed arterial plaque despite no dietary change. That transplant underscored how powerful the microbiome alone can be in driving heart disease.
And it's not just TMAO. Certain gut organisms convert primary bile acids into secondary forms that calm artery inflammation via the TGR5 receptor. Others ferment dietary fiber into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which modulate blood pressure, reinforce vessel integrity, and temper immune responses. When these beneficial pathways falter, risk rises.
With that mechanistic backdrop, listeners might ask, what can I do today to nurture a heart-friendly gut? Let's translate the science into practical steps.
Step 1. Eliminate industrial seed oils, corn, soy, canola, safflower, and the processed foods that hide them. These oils are dense in linoleic acid, which disrupts mitochondrial function and tilts the gut toward dysbiosis. Replace them with stable fats such as grass-fed butter, ghee, coconut oil, or extra virgin olive oil.
Step 2 involves carbohydrates. Aim for roughly 200 to 250 grams a day if you're moderately active, leaning on whole food sources. White rice and ripe fruit are gentle options that feed cells without over-challenging a compromised gut. People with severe dysbiosis often tolerate refined fiber poorly at first. Easing in prevents bloating and discourages opportunistic bacteria.
Once digestion steadies, gradually introduce diverse fibers, cooked then cooled potatoes, green bananas, lightly sautéed vegetables, and intact whole grains. These resistant starches become fuel for butyrate-producing microbes. As SCFA levels climb, the gut barrier tightens, systemic inflammation drops, and blood pressure regulation improves.
For additional microbiome support, periodic Berberine cycles, under professional guidance, can suppress TMAO generating species and foster Akkermansia growth. Fermented foods like kimchi and plain kefir, when tolerated, supply living cultures that compete with harmful strains. And of course, consistent sleep, regular movement, and stress management practices round out the picture.
The takeaway is straightforward. Your gut sends biochemical messages to your cardiovascular system every day. By choosing whole foods, limiting seed oils, and considering targeted botanicals, you shift that conversation from pro-inflammatory to protective. Over time, those small choices coalesce into measurable reductions in heart attack risk.
We're also watching how clinicians might eventually deploy the intestinal microbiota-based risk score in practice. A quick stool test could flag coronary patients who appear stable, yet harbor hidden microbial dangers. Intervening early, diet first, pharmaceuticals only when truly necessary, could prevent thousands of heart attacks each year.
Until that tool becomes mainstream, the principles remain the same. Feed beneficial bacteria, starve harmful ones, and safeguard the gut barrier. Your microbiome is remarkably adaptable, and improvements often emerge within weeks. By caring for it daily, you protect a downstream system that matters dearly, your heart.
That wraps our exploration of gut patterns and cardiac risk. If this episode sparked action steps for you, consider tracking how you feel as you refine your diet. Small shifts accumulate, and your microbiome will thank you long before your next lab results arrive.
We appreciate you spending this time with us on Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed, be proactive, and remember that cellular health starts in the gut. Until next time, take care.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.